Hello, guys. Hopefully, everybody's doing well. It has been a little bit of time since I made a video posted. It's work, right now it's kind of busy season, and it's work has been really busy. Traveling a bunch, getting stuff done. It's just not a lot of time to really be home and on the road. It's been kind of tough making videos. And kind of posting and that kind of stuff. Only so much stuff you can do on the laptop in the hotel. But anyway, I've been kind of following now all the latest CAG stuff about the first person, far as first person combat changes rather, and the latest stuff that came out of CAG Live about the master modes, and then the Space Tomato interview with Avenger One and Yogi, and a couple of interesting tidbits came out of that. I don't know if obviously I think you guys would have been following that, but if not, there was one at one point during the Space Tomato podcast with Avenger One and Yogi, which I believe he is in charge of the flight model for CAG, or the flight experience, flight model, whatever you want to call it. But he's like the guy. But anyhow, at some point, not too far into the interview, he went ahead and stated it that that Star Citizen is a PVE game that allows you to be, but it's not a core focus. And obviously, in a typical, and some of the stuff, the way they were set lately, and we'll touch on that here in a second. But lately, some of the stuff and I don't want to say that CAG sounds a little bit frustrated, maybe, that there's some resistance, not some, there was a lot of resistance to master modes and some changes they're making. So I don't know if they're getting frustrated, but sometimes like some of the information that comes out from the developers, I'm like, wow, that's kind of how they really feel and what they're thinking versus what marketing or PR people telling him to say. Like for example, when Yogi said that, hey, ultimately, Star Citizen is a PvE game that allows you to do PvP, that sounded fairly genuine, like they have thought about this before, and clearly it looked like it was a sore subject with him. Or as far as they clearly were talking about this before. Clearly, that's how developers feel. But say if they entrench themselves in a PVE camp or PvP camp, ultimately that's going to alienate either one player base or the other. So from selling digital ships standpoint and overall game sales, probably not a good policy to do that. But I think there might be some, I can kind of tell that from like recent CAG videos, there might be some contention between developers and the leadership or the marketing department, where developers are envisioning this specific game, and where there might be told like, hey, at this age here, where they're being told like, hey, you gotta either not say that or make PU game choices that will cater to both groups. And it feels like CIG is taking a little bit of stand as far as master modes. Yep, we're gonna get them. This is how it's going to be. And whether you subscribe to the belief where CAG is decreasing the speed and engagement distances because they realize they cannot make large battles and server meshing work with the current speed, and there's like a lot of desync, so they're gonna slow things down. I know they're claiming, obviously they're not even touching now with a 10-foot pole. They're claiming this is for more quote unquote cinematic battles and all that. And I agree with that. I mean, I agree that master modes will promote battleship variety. In a way, they will promote better loadout variety. You know, but master modes will have their issues. I mean, at first, and I mean, I wouldn't say at first. Even still, right now, I realize that the current flight model needs to change, and there needs to be changes in Star Citizen, especially down the line. But I guess sooner the better. That the current flight model probably not ideal for promoting, not encouraging the light fighter meta and all that. But I just don't know. And they did admit it that master modes, the way it sits now, will change. This is basically for feedback, so I am basing my opinion as far as whether I like master modes or not purely on, hey, patch 3.23 is going to be there just for testing. Not a final version. Unfinal version is going to be there for testing, and based on our feedback, I would hope, and they said they would, that they would tweak master modes. Um, you know, as we go along. Now, since master modes and everything else is in Squadron 42, and that's the main driver, that's the main change, I almost feel like watching the latest videos and kind of seeing how developers are talking about it, not the marketing people, developers themselves. It's almost like we're Squadron 42 and how, you don't have to balance stuff there for PvP. Almost like that's the game they really wanted to make. The flight model they wanted, that's how, they want Star Citizen to be. And now they have the difficult task of, introducing Squadron 42 features, which is meant for PvE single player experience into PU. That's going to be quite challenging. Um, and the whole argument of people where, well, I just don't want master modes because I am really good right now with the current flight model, and I mean I am not going to be while master modes come out. That's not a valid argument not to improve or change or progress the game forward. I mean, CG pretty much told us, yep, master modes in one fashion or another, whether it's gonna be end up being drastically different from Squadron 42 or fairly similar, we are getting master modes regardless. Obviously, it's gonna change, but we are getting master modes. So, I don't think CIG's kind of joined the line like, yep, master modes are happening. And you know what, though? The people that are good right now, they're willing to put in the time and research the game and its intricacies and find the best way to do that. They will be good again. I mean, people that have talent, time, and dedication will be good in a future game. The only thing that master modes will do is, I know they were even talking about that during the live, CG Live, is it will lower the floor where it's gonna make newer players or players that do not dedicate as much time to learning and practicing PvP, it's gonna give them a chance to compete. No, not perhaps win a fight all the time against player that has that reach that high skill ceiling, but at least they have a chance, or they won't lose all the time, which is not bad. I agree with that. How is it gonna work out? There's still, and watching the CIG live regarding the master modes. I think it was like all about the master modes. That was the title. I mean, it's very recent. It was like last week or the week before. It's like very recent video. There seems to be, when the developers were talking about it, and I know there was three. three developers. Yogi was one of them. Again, the guy pretty much in charge of the flight model and all that. There seem to be where even they do not have all the details hashed out yet. On some of the questions that were asked, they were kind of like, yeah, they're still hashing it out on that kind of stuff. So, few things to, you know, kind of take away from that. That a developers might still be split where they want to take the master modes and how much of a direct copy from Squadron 42 master modes will be. There's some aspects where they don't even know yet. Um, I mean, I like the question was asked in one of the more recent videos, like, hey, let's say you're on a multi-cruise ship, being either like an Elliot or Hammerhead or whatever, even like a freelancer. You're on a multi-cruise ship, so and if you're in the nav mode, what is there going to be for your third gunners to do and all that stuff? And the answer was like, well, there'll be other stuff once the whole maintenance game loop comes out and all that. During the time where your weapons are inactive, there'll be other duties on the ship for your third gunner to do. So, there will be other pieces to all this. You can't just kind of take in Master Mode's multi-crew gameplay on its value as it is right now, just because it's missing like maintenance and all that stuff. It's missing all that. So that's I don't have a problem with. We'll wait and see. That's kind of going to evolve by itself. Fine, no problem. But stuff, for example, a question came up: are the countermeasures going to be available or not in nav mode and stuff like that? They weren't that certain. They're like, well, as of right now, no, but that's something we're still evaluating, and they're still evaluating bunch of ships. They're saying they're gonna tweak. I mean, after each ship will have kind of archetype, where it's light fighter, heavy fighter, and stuff like that. But they will also be tweaking the set individual ships as well in detail. So that's cool. So, after watching a couple of recent videos that touched everything, a lot of obviously questions on master modes, as you guys would imagine. After watching all that, it's kind of evident that this is a little bit of a new territory for CAG. There's gonna be a fundamental change for Star Citizen gameplay, and we ain't even talking about the first person changes yet. I mean, the 3.23 is probably going to be one of those milestone updates that you kind of, that people will remember as far as being a turning point in Star Citizen. For better or for worse, I don't know. See? But it will be a change. It will be a change. Um, You know, in Arena Commander experiencing master modes, yes, it's fun, but in PU it's gonna be a whole different kind of ball of wax. It might give you some options to escape. It's it might give you some options where you can be kind of screwed. But ultimately, I see what they're going for, and I don't think master modes are going to be a bad thing. Will they have to tweak, maybe make changes to trade light acceleration so people can, so certain ships, depending on archetype, either light fighters or medium fighters, can accelerate? Just make that acceleration a straight line acceleration, give it more speed so at least you can establish some kind of separation from the fight, kinda, and then reposition and re-engage. Because right now, the way master mode sits right now, it's very hard to disengage from a fight. And the CAG's whole stand is, well, it's all about if you don't want to fight, you don't have to fight. Well, that's fine, but it's hard to dictate that if you cannot disengage from a current engagement. So what I mean, I wish they would increase. I'm not saying make your lateral belly, at least increase. If they can increase a straight line acceleration, where you feel like you can get away or disengage better, like I would like that. I think it would be a good change. But then again, keep in mind that all of this is going to be a huge testing bed. What master modes is going to be when we get it and where it's going to end up in future patches, I think it's going to be a night and day going forward. So let's not get all upset or unbothered over the what master modes will look like when they first come out, because they will go through multiple changes before it's final, but we are getting it. I want to touch base really quick on the first person changes, which I thought that was kind of cool, like the ammo repacking and the backpack reload. Huge quality of life improvement. That's awesome. The crosshair, where your helmet, depending on a helmet, like if you wear a military helmet, from what I understand, it will be able to track where your muzzle is being pointed. That's kind of cool, and will give you. And if you don't wear a military helmet or a combat purpose helmet, you will not have that feature. Versus where you do wear a combat or military helmet, specific helmet, you will have that feature. That gives you incentive to prepare for a mission and all that, and wear proper equipment, and kind of decide what's more important to you. That's great. It promotes variety, and like the one of the developers said, in this time period, a lot of that tech actually exists now. There's no reason to think that it wouldn't, you know, exist so far out in the future. Of course, you know, seems like even though we are in the future, we can't figure it out proper, landing or airport lighting and stuff like that. But hey, that's a topic for another day. You come into land for a pet on a planet, and you can hardly see where you're going. You think that, or we can't figure out night vision. I mean, I can't see a thing when I try to sometimes land on night planets. But that's besides the point. That will sort itself out in the future. But between the star map, the first person changes, the first person combat changes, or on foot combat changes rather, master modes, instant hangers, and all that. 3.3 is going to be proved to be our monumental patch. It's, let's face it, it is most likely that not is going to be a shit show. Um, they're testing server mesh on Ivocati servers, and I guess the other day they got it up to like 400 players or something like that, which is great. So, they're making strides, and pace will accelerate now that Squadron 42 team is on it. But, it's going to be growing pains. We might hate 3.23 and its current flight model, but I think me and you guys, we all have to be patient and give them feedback, because you know this game will change. I mean, people that base their whole, like, oh well, I'm gonna develop this or my personality or what I do based on the game that's actively in development and changing, it's kind of silly, you know, because we all knew that this flight model, it's not going to stick around forever. So, everybody kind of knew that, but that's okay. So ultimately, I think it's going to be a good thing. We might hate it though. I mean, I'll admit, At first, I was gung ho on it. Now that I'm kind of reading more into it and kind of understanding what CIG actually envisions, I don't know. Especially when it comes to bigger ships and all that, we will have to see how it works. If the armor is implemented properly, I mean, that will be another huge thing. The armor will be a huge when it comes to nav mode, and I mean master modes as a whole, because in nav mode when ship comes out and you need to run away, the amount of armor you have will play a huge role whether you survive an ambush or not. But so that's another thing. The armor we are missing an important piece out of all this is the armor as well. So master modes, the 3.23 will be a huge testing bed to see how everything will go. And what the most important thing we can do, like I said, we might hate it. Probably will hate it purely because it's a change, and it will take us time to get used to it. Um, but the best we can do is provide feedback and hope that you know Cloud Imperium Games will listen to our feedback, and they're just not saying that, hey, give us feedback, but no matter what you say, this is how the game is going to be because this is how we envisioned it from a while, and we're not gonna change it. So hopefully our feedback matters. I think it will. We just have to wait and see. I will say one little thing, lately, like I don't think that was the last video about the Idris event. That was just I thought that was just kind of a poorly thought out event and poorly executed and kind of little appeared like as a cash grabby, just as like an excuse to have a sale and generate some revenue. I mean, because we are kind of in a slump, a lot of people are waiting towards next patch, 2.3, to see what ships they want to buy, what ships they melt, because I guess, I mean, we don't know, and judging from how CG developers are behaving, really some of them don't really know exactly what would be the final version of Master Mode as well. So we'll just have to wait and see, be patient, and see how it shakes out. All right, guys. It's good to be back. Good to talk to you guys again. I'll be seeing you around. And till next time, take care and be safe.